The blue ship appeared near Luna Station like a gentle whisper in the darkness of space. Captain Jake Morrison watched from the observation deck as the alien vessel approached. It moved so smoothly that it seemed to float rather than fly. The ship looked like a giant flower made of crystal and light. "Beautiful," said Dr. Lisa Carter, standing beside him. She was the station's head scientist for alien life. Her eyes were wide with wonder. "I've never seen anything like it." Jake nodded. After 50 years of traveling to other planets, humans had never met another intelligent species. Today would change everything. The alien ship docked with Luna Station, without making a sound. Jake and Lisa hurried to the main meeting room. Commander Roy Hamilton was already there with his security team. Dr. Amy Brooks, their peace expert, sat at the long table with stacks of papers about first contact rules. The airlock door opened with a soft hiss. 3 tall beings walked through. They were beautiful in a way that made humans stop and stare. Their skin was light blue and seemed to glow from inside. They were very tall, maybe 8 feet, but moved like dancers. Their large eyes were kind and gentle. They wore flowing robes that looked like they were made from starlight. The leader stepped forward and spoke in perfect English. His voice was like music. "Greetings, peaceful humans. I am Ambassador Veltar of the Zephyrian people. We come in harmony and friendship." Jake stood up and smiled. "Welcome to Luna Station. I'm Captain Jake Morrison. We're honored to meet you." Veltar's large eyes seemed to shine brighter. "We have watched your people from far away. Your messages of peace and growing together have reached our worlds. We wish to join your peaceful federation of planets." Lisa looked confused. "Our peaceful federation?" "Yes," said another Zephyrian, who was smaller and moved even more gracefully. "I am Silanen, student of harmony. We have heard your broadcasts about feeding the hungry, caring for the sick, and growing crops together. Your people seem to understand the true path of peace." Dr. Brooks leaned forward. "We're happy to hear that. Tell us about your people." Veltar's expression became proud and calm. "The Zephyrian people have lived in perfect peace for 12,000 of your years. We have no wars, no fighting, no anger. We grow food with our minds, heal with crystals of light, and spend our days in meditation and art." The humans looked at each other. Jake felt amazed, but also a little confused. 12,000 years without war?" he asked. "War?" Silnan tilted her head like a curious bird. "That is an old word from primitive times, yes? When beings fought over resources before they learned to share?" Amy cleared her throat. "Well, we certainly try to share and help each other." Veltar smiled, showing teeth that sparkled like diamonds. "This is why we wish to join you. From our long watching, we see that humans have mastered the art of peaceful living. Your children play gentle games. Your stories speak of helping others. Your leaders talk of bringing people together." Lisa caught Jake's eye. Something felt strange about this conversation, but she couldn't figure out what. The third Zephyrian, who had been quiet, finally spoke. His voice was very old and wise. "I am Elder Kolveth. We bring gifts to show our friendship." He gestured with his long, thin hand. 2 more Zephyrians came through the airlock, carrying what looked like living light in crystal containers. The crystals hummed with soft music. "These are healing stones," Kolveth explained. "They cure sickness and pain. And these," he pointed to other glowing objects, "will make your crops grow faster and stronger. No one will ever be hungry again." The humans stared at the gifts. The technology was beyond anything they had ever seen. "This is incredible," Lisa whispered. "Thank you." Veltar bowed his head. "We hope to learn from you as well. Our young people wish to study your methods of keeping peace. How do you make sure no one ever fights? How do you train your children to be so gentle?" Jake felt a strange feeling in his stomach. "Our children... gentle?" "Yes," Silnan said happily. "We watch them play their games of running and catching. Such beautiful exercises in cooperation. And your entertainment shows people working together to solve problems without anger." Amy looked puzzled. "Which shows are those?" "The ones where Teams work together to overcome challenges, Veltar explained. Though we don't understand why they wear protective clothing and carry strange tools. Commander Hamilton spoke for the first time. Protective clothing? Yes, the hard shells and face covers. Very advanced meditation gear, we assume. Lisa felt her heart skip. Were they talking about sports? Or something else? Dr. Brooks decided to change the subject. Tell us more about your world. What is daily life like for your people? Kolveth's old eyes grew distant. We wake each morning and sing to the sun. We tend our gardens with our minds, making plants grow with gentle thoughts. We create art that captures the beauty of harmony. We share food and stories. When the sun sets, we meditate together, sending peaceful thoughts to all living things. That sounds wonderful, Amy said. Very peaceful indeed. Peace is all we know, Veltar said. It is all any civilized being should know. This is why we are so excited to meet humans. Finally, another species that has evolved beyond primitive violence. The word violence seemed to hang in the air like a bad smell. Jake cleared his throat. Well, we certainly value peace. We work hard to solve problems without conflict. Conflict? Silnan looked confused again. What is conflict? The humans looked at each other again. How could they explain? When people disagree, Lisa said carefully, and they have trouble finding a solution that makes everyone happy. Oh, Veltar nodded. Yes, disagreement. We had those long ago before we learned wisdom. Now when someone has different thoughts, we meditate together until harmony returns. That must take a lot of patience, Jake said. Time means nothing when peace is the goal, Kolveth replied. We assume humans have similar practices? Your broadcasts speak of bringing people together and finding common ground. Yes, we try to do that, Amy said, which was true enough. The meeting continued for 2 more hours. The Zephyrians spoke about their perfect world, their gentle ways, and their excitement about learning human peace techniques. The humans listened and tried not to look at each other too much. When the aliens finally returned to their ship, the humans sat in silence for a long moment. Did that seem strange to anyone else? Jake finally asked. Very strange, Lisa agreed. They seem to think we're some kind of perfect, peaceful species. Should we tell them about? Hamilton gestured, vaguely. About what? Amy asked. Our military? Our history? Our sports? They'll figure it out eventually, Jake said. Right now, let's just focus on building friendship. But as he watched the beautiful blue ship floating near the station, Jake wondered, what would happen when the Zephyrians learned the truth about humanity? He had a feeling it wouldn't go as smoothly as this first meeting. Outside, the alien ship glowed softly in the darkness, full of beings who had never known war, never felt anger, and never imagined that their new human friends were anything other than fellow lovers of peace. 3 months after first contact, the cultural exchange program began. Steve Collins was the first human to visit Zephyr Prime. He stepped off the transport ship and into a world that looked like a dream. Everything glowed softly. Trees grew in perfect spirals. The air smelled like flowers and music. His guide was a young Zephyrian named Morlen. She had skin that changed color with her emotions, currently a happy golden blue. Welcome to our learning center, Morlen said as they walked through halls made of living crystal. Today you will teach us about human peace methods. Steve felt nervous. Back on Earth, he was a history teacher, but here he was supposed to be an expert on peace. The problem was he wasn't sure what the Zephyrians expected. What would you like to learn? He asked. How do humans stay so calm during challenges? Morlen asked. We have studied your entertainment. Your people face great difficulties but never lose their peaceful nature. Steve frowned. Our entertainment? Yes. The moving pictures where humans work together to overcome problems. They wear special clothes and use tools, but they never show anger, even when facing danger. Steve realized she was talking about action movies. His stomach dropped. Which movies did you watch? He asked carefully. the one where humans fight strange creatures in space, and another where they stop bad people from hurting innocents. Such beautiful examples of protective meditation. Steve's mouth went dry. She was talking about sci-fi action films and superhero movies. Back on New Texas Colony, things were getting more confusing. Ben Parker, the colonial administrator, was showing a group of Zephyrian students around the settlement. The aliens watched, everything with wide, curious eyes. "What is that?" asked a young Zephyrian named Ziltar, pointing at a group of children playing. Ben looked. The kids were playing football in the dirt field behind the school. "Oh, that's just a game. The children are having fun." Ziltar's skin turned pale white. "They are attacking each other?" No, Ben said quickly. "It's called football. They're trying to get the ball to the other end of the field." "But they are pushing and grabbing," another Zephyrian whispered. "This is some kind of therapy?" Ben watched as little Tommy Wilson tackled Bobby Martinez. Both boys got up laughing and covered in mud. "They're not hurt," Ben explained. "It's just a sport. Competition." "Competition?" Ziltar looked confused. "What is that word?" Ben realized he couldn't easily explain. How do you tell beings who have never competed about the idea of winning and losing? It's when people try to do better than each other. But in a friendly way, the Zephyrians looked at each other with worried expressions. On Earth, Dr. Kate Nelson was having her own problems. She was studying Zephyrian culture at Harvard University. Her research partner was Silnan, the same gentle alien from the first meeting. "I am confused about human literature," Silnan said, holding a book. "This story is about two families who hate each other. Why would anyone write such a thing?" Kate looked at the book. "Oh, that's Romeo and Juliet by Shakespeare. It's a classic. But it ends with death and sadness. Is this a warning story? To teach people what happens when peace is broken?" Kate paused. "Well, it's more about love and tragedy, how sometimes society keeps people apart." "Society keeps people apart?" Silnan's skin turned a worried purple color. "Does this still happen among humans?" "Sometimes," Kate admitted, "but we try to do better." Silnan looked through more books on Kate's shelf. Her color kept changing as she read the titles. The Art of War, Lord of the Flies, The Hunger Games. Each title made her more purple. "Kate, these stories are full of conflict and fighting. Are these all warning tales?" Kate felt sweat on her forehead. "They're different kinds of stories. Some are about overcoming challenges. By fighting?" Silnan's voice was very small. "Humans overcome challenges by fighting?" Meanwhile, at the University of New Angeles, Professor Tony Russo was teaching a mixed class of humans and Zephyrians about Earth history. Today's topic was supposed to be the development of agriculture. "Farming changed everything for humans," Tony explained. "It let us build permanent settlements and grow our population." A Zephyrian student raised her hand. "Professor, we found references to something called the Great Wars in your historical databases. Were these farming disputes from your primitive past?" Tony's heart skipped. "The Great Wars?" "Yes, World War I and World War II. We assume these were ancient conflicts over farming land from before humans learned to share." The human students in the class looked at each other. One of them, a girl named Emma, whispered, "Should we tell them?" Tony made a quick decision. "Those wars were a long time ago. Let's focus on farming techniques." But the Zephyrian student wouldn't let it go. "The dates say World War II ended in 1945. That is not so long ago in galactic terms, and we found references to other wars too. Korea, Vietnam, Iraq. How many farming disputes did humans have?" The room fell silent. Tony could hear his own heartbeat. "Those weren't exactly farming disputes," he said slowly. "Then what were they?" another Zephyrian asked. Back on Zephyr Prime, Steve Collins was in deep trouble. He was sitting in a circle with 20 Zephyrian peace students, all looking at him with trusting eyes. "Now teach us the human technique for removing violent thoughts," said the teacher, an ancient Zephyrian named Wise Singer Yulnara. "Removing violent thoughts?" Steve repeated. Yes, we have studied your entertainment and literature. Humans must have powerful methods for staying peaceful despite facing so many challenges and conflicts. Steve felt panic rising in his chest. What if humans don't actually remove violent thoughts? The Zephyrians gasped. Their skin colors shifted to shocked white and worried purple. But then how do you stay peaceful? Morlin asked. What, if we don't? Steve said quietly. What if humans aren't actually peaceful? The silence that followed was deafening. Yulnara's ancient eyes grew wide. That is impossible, she whispered. We have observed your broadcasts. Your leaders speak of peace and cooperation. They do, Steve agreed, but we also fight sometimes. Fight? The word seemed to hurt them to hear. When we can't agree. When someone threatens us. When we need to protect our families. The Zephyrians looked at each other in horror. Several of them started glowing brighter, which Steve had learned meant they were very upset. You mean humans still engage in conflict? Yulnara asked. Yes, Steve said. We do. One of the young Zephyrians fainted. His skin turned completely white and he fell over like a cut flower. Back on New Texas, similar scenes were happening everywhere. Zephyrian students were discovering human news broadcasts, sports games, and military recruitment ads. Their reactions ranged from confusion to shock to what looked like complete mental breakdowns. Ben Parker got an emergency call from the school. Sir, you need to come quickly, the teacher said. The Zephyrian students saw the kids playing dodgeball. 3 of them are in the medical bay, and 1 is asking if we're going to sacrifice the losing team. Dr. Kate Nelson found Silanen in the library surrounded by history books glowing so brightly she looked like a small sun. Kate, Silanen said without looking up. These books. They are full of wars and battles and death. Are humans truly this violent? Kate sat down slowly. Silanen, I think we need to talk. Across the galaxy, the truth about humanity was starting to come out, and the peaceful Zephyrians were not taking it well. Zareth was the chief researcher for the Zephyrian Council. He had been studying human culture for weeks, trying to understand the strange reports coming from their exchange students. Today, he finally got permission to access the full human historical database. What he found broke his mind. Impossible, he whispered, staring at the glowing screen in his research chamber. His skin had turned completely white with shock. This cannot be real. The numbers were too big to understand. World War I, 17 million dead. World War II, 75 million dead. And those were just 2 wars out of thousands. Humans had been fighting each other for their entire recorded history. Zareth's assistant, a young researcher named Kilvin, floated over to see what was wrong. Chief researcher, your life energy is very dim. What have you found? Look. Zareth pointed at the screen with a trembling finger. Look at what they call the 30 Years' War. It killed 8 million humans. The Mongol conquest killed 40 million. The Anlushan rebellion killed 36 million. Kilvin's skin started turning white too. These numbers, they cannot be correct. No species could survive such losses. Keep reading, Zareth said in a voice like dying wind. There are hundreds more. The Napoleonic Wars, the American Civil War, the Crusades, the conquests of Alexander, the fall of Rome. Kilvin started making a high-pitched sound that Zephyrians made when they were in deep distress. They have never stopped fighting, Zareth continued. Not for a single generation. Even now, in their current time, they have wars happening on multiple worlds. At that moment, alarms started ringing throughout New Texas colony. Space pirates had been detected approaching the system. It was exactly the worst time for such an attack, with dozens of Zephyrian students visiting the colony. Ben Parker ran to the command center where Admiral Sam Wright was coordinating the defense via video link from his ship in orbit. How many pirates? Ben asked. 30 ships, Admiral Wright replied calmly. Standard raider formation. We'll handle them. Several Zephyrian students had followed Ben. They watched in growing horror as the Admiral gave orders. Launch fighters. Target their engines first, then weapons. If they don't surrender after losing half their fleet, switch to full destruction mode. Full destruction? Whispered Ziltar, the young Zephyrian. You mean killing? Ben looked at him. They're pirates. They rob and murder innocent people. If we don't stop them, they'll hurt everyone on this colony. But surely you can talk to them. Make them understand peace? Admiral Wright heard this through the communicator. Son, we tried talking to these particular pirates before. Last month, they attacked a passenger ship and killed 300 civilians, including children. The Zephyrians made their distress sound again. On the screens, they could see the human fighters launching from Admiral Wright's ships. The small vessels moved fast and sharp, like angry metal birds. Colonel Nina Davis was leading the fighter squadron. Her voice came through the speakers, calm and professional. Gold Squadron, take the left flank. Silver Squadron, hit their command ship. Remember, we want to disable if possible, but protect the colony at all costs. The battle was over. In 20 minutes, the human fighters moved with deadly precision. They destroyed 8 pirate ships and captured the rest. Not a single civilian was harmed, but the Zephyrians were traumatized. They had never seen violence before. Several had fainted. Others were glowing so brightly with distress that the room looked like it was full of small suns. How can you be so calm about killing? Ziltar asked Ben with tears in his large eyes. We didn't want to kill anyone, Ben explained, but they were going to hurt innocent people. Sometimes to protect peace, you have to fight. That makes no sense, another Zephyrian said. Violence cannot create peace. Ben looked tired. I wish that were true. Back on Earth, Dr. Paul Martinez was having the worst day of his career. He was a military historian, and 3 Zephyrian researchers had come to interview him about human warfare. Explain to us the concept of total war, said the lead researcher, whose name was Kulneth. Paul's mouth went dry. Total war was one of humanity's most terrible concepts. The idea that in some conflicts, everything and everyone becomes a target. Well, he began carefully, sometimes in war, the lines between soldiers and civilians become blurred. Civilians? Kulneth asked. You mean non-combatants, the peaceful ones? Yes, but in total war, the idea is that everyone contributes to the war effort, so everyone becomes a target. The 3 Zephyrians stared at him in silence. Their skin colors went through rapid changes. White shock, purple fear, and then a deep blue that Paul had never seen before. You target the peaceful ones? Kulneth whispered. In some wars, yes. We have weapons that can destroy entire cities. One of the Zephyrians fell off his chair. The other started making that high-pitched distress sound. How many cities have humans destroyed? Kulneth asked. Paul closed his eyes. Hiroshima and Nagasaki were destroyed by atomic bombs in 1945. But there were many others destroyed by conventional bombing. Dresden, London, Berlin, Tokyo. Your people destroy their own cities? Well, they were enemy cities at the time. Enemy cities? Kulneth's voice rose higher. Cities full of families and children and peaceful people? Paul nodded miserably. The Zephyrian who had fallen got back up, but his movements were shaky. How many humans died in these city destructions? Hundreds of thousands, maybe millions when you count all the wars. All 3 Zephyrians started, glowing brighter and making distress sounds. Paul was afraid they might all faint. But that's not the worst part, Paul continued, because he felt he had to tell them everything. We have weapons now that could destroy our entire planet. We built thousands of them during something called the Cold War. Cold War? Kulneth asked weakly. A 40-year period where 2 groups of humans threatened to destroy all life on Earth. They never actually used the weapons, but they came close several times. The Zephyrians stopped making noise. They stopped glowing. They just sat there like statues, staring at Paul with their large, gentle eyes. On Luna Station, Ambassador Veltar was reading the reports from the exchange program. Each report was worse than the last. His skin had been white with shock for hours. Captain Jake Morrison found him in the meditation room, sitting very still. Ambassador, Jake said carefully. Are you all right? Veltar looked up at him. His ancient eyes were full of pain. Captain Morrison, he said slowly. Is it true that humans have killed more than 1 billion of their own species in wars? Jake felt his heart sink. Over all of history? Probably, yes. Is it true that you have weapons that could destroy planets? Yes. Is it true that human children play games where they pretend to fight and hurt each other? Yes, but is it true that humans eat the flesh of other living creatures? Jake paused. He had never thought about that from an alien perspective. Yes, we do. Veltar stood up slowly. Captain Morrison, my people have made a terrible mistake. We thought humans were peaceful like us. We thought you had evolved beyond violence, but you are the most violent species in the galaxy. Ambassador, please let me explain. There is nothing to explain, Veltar said sadly. We have seen your entertainment where beings hurt each other for fun. We have read your literature about war and death. We have watched your people calmly discuss destroying cities and killing millions. You are not peaceful. You are monsters. The word hung in the air between them like a poison cloud. We are leaving, Veltar announced. All Zephyrians will return home immediately. The Council will vote on whether to quarantine your species or simply avoid you forever. As Jake watched the gentle alien walk away, he realized that humanity had just lost their first alien friends before they had ever really made them. The emergency diplomatic meeting was held on neutral ground, a space station between Earth and Zephyr Prime. President Helen Garcia sat across from Elder Kolthara, the supreme leader of the Zephyrian people. The room was tense and quiet. Elder, Kolthara's skin was a deep, sad blue. She had lived for over 1,000 years and had never felt such disappointment. Your people lied to us, she said in a voice like winter wind. You pretended to be peaceful while hiding your true nature. President Garcia shook her head. We never lied. We assumed you knew what humans were like. How could we know? Elder Kolthara asked. We listened to your broadcasts about helping others and growing food together. We thought you were like us. Dr. Matt Thompson, Earth's best expert on human behavior, leaned forward. Elder Kolthara, may I explain something about how humans evolved? The ancient alien looked at him with tired eyes. What could you possibly say that would excuse your violence? We didn't choose to be violent, Dr. Thompson said gently. On our planet, everything was trying to kill everything else. Big animals ate smaller animals. Weather could destroy entire regions. Diseases killed millions. Humans survived by learning to fight back. Other species learned to hide or run, Elder Kolthara replied. Why did humans choose violence? Because hiding and running weren't enough, Dr. Thompson explained. Humans are weak compared to most animals. We don't have claws or thick skin or poison. We only had our brains and our ability to work together. Working together is good, said wise singer Yul Nara, who had come from Zephyr Prime. But why did that lead to war? Because we learned that sometimes to protect our families we had to fight other humans who wanted to take our food, our land, or our people. Commander Lucy Hayes spoke up. She was a former soldier who now worked for peace organizations. I spent 20 years in the military. I've seen terrible things, but I also learned something important. What? Elder Kolthara asked. The same instincts that make humans fight also make us protect others. The same anger that can destroy can also defend the innocent. Lucy stood up and walked to the large window that looked out at the stars. I once saw a human mother fight off 3 armed men to protect her children. She was smaller and weaker, but she fought like a wild animal because her children were in danger. That's what human violence really is, it's protection instinct. But your wars, wise singer Yul Nara said. The millions who died, how is that protection? Dr. Thompson nodded. That's the dark side of our nature. Sometimes our protection instinct gets twisted. Sometimes leaders convince people that they need to fight to protect their way of life. Sometimes people fight because they're afraid of others who are different. This is exactly why violence is wrong, Elder Kolthara said. It always leads to more violence. President Garcia spoke carefully. Elder Kolthara, what if I told you that your peaceful civilization was only possible because someone else was willing to fight? The Zephyrians looked confused. What do you mean? Elder Kolthara asked. In your galaxy, are there any species that are naturally aggressive? Any that might hurt others? Well, yes. The Kurtak are raiders. The Vorthon Empire enslaves other species, but they stay far from our space. Why do they stay away? Elder Kolthara paused. Because the Galactic Defense Force keeps them away. And who runs the Galactic Defense Force? The Altarians. They are warriors who... Elder Kolthara stopped talking. Her skin began to change color. They're warriors who fight to protect peaceful species like yours. President Garcia finished. Your peace exists because someone else is willing to do violence on your behalf. The room was silent for a long moment. Just then, alarms began to ring. A voice came over the station speakers. Emergency. Vorthon attack ships detected approaching. Zephyr Prime. All defense forces respond immediately. The Zephyrians in the room began glowing with panic. Elder Kolthara stood up quickly. The Vorthons? But they have never come so close to our space before. Admiral Sam Wright, who had been quiet during the meeting, spoke up. They probably detected the Zephyrian ships coming to meet us. They might think your defenses are down. Our defenses? Elder Kolthara looked confused. We have no defenses. We are a peaceful people. Everyone stared at her. You have no military at all? Admiral Wright asked. Why would we need military? We have never fought anyone. President Garcia and Admiral Wright looked at each other. How long until the Vorthons reach Zephyr Prime? President Garcia asked. 6 hours, came the reply from the station's control room. How long for the Altarian Defense Force to respond? 18 hours. Elder Kolthara's skin turned white with fear. Our people. There are billions of us on the homeworld. We don't even know how to hide from attackers. Admiral Wright stood up. President Garcia, request permission to deploy the fleet. You would fight for us? Elder Kolthara asked in shock. After we called you monsters? That's what humans do, Admiral. Wright said simply. We protect people who can't protect themselves. President Garcia nodded. Permission granted. Protect Zephyr Prime. Within an hour, human ships were jumping through space toward the Zephyrian homeworld. Commander Lucy Hayes was leading a Marine unit, and Dr. Thompson was with them as an advisor. The battle was swift and decisive. The Vorthons had expected to find a defenseless world. Instead, they found human warships waiting for them. The few Vorthon ships that survived fled back to their own space. But something else happened during the battle that changed everything. A Vorthon ship, damaged and spinning out of control, was heading directly toward a Zephyrian city. The human ship closest to it was the destroyer Captain Jake Morrison commanded. Captain, his weapons officer said, we can stop that ship, but we'll have to ram it. The crew won't survive. Jake looked at the screen showing the beautiful crystal city below, full of millions of peaceful beings who had never hurt anyone. Do it, he said. But at the last second, the Vorthon ship exploded. Another human ship had rammed it instead, sacrificing itself to save both Jake's ship and the city below. The Zephyrians watched all of this from their world's surface. They saw humans die to protect people who had just called them monsters. After the battle, Elder Kolthara returned to Earth for another meeting. This time, her skin was a mixture of colors, sadness, gratitude, and something new. I do not understand you, she told President Garcia. You have the capacity for great violence, but you used it to save us. You could have let us die after we rejected you. That's not who we are, President Garcia replied. Yes, humans can be violent, but we're violent for a reason. We fight to protect what we love. Dr. Thompson added, our violence and our compassion come from the same place. We care so much about protecting others that we're willing to fight and die for them. Elder Kolthara was quiet for a long time. On our world we have a saying, The flower can only bloom because the roots fight the darkness. I never understood what it meant until now. What does it mean? Dr. Thompson asked. It means that beautiful things can exist because something else struggles against the forces that would destroy them. Her skin began to glow a warm, golden color. Humans are the roots. You fight the darkness so that gentle species like mine can bloom. Wise singer Yulnara, who had been listening, spoke up. Perhaps we have been wrong about violence. Perhaps it is not always evil. It's a tool, Commander Hayes said. Like fire, it can burn down forests or cook food and keep families warm. What matters is how you use it. 6 months later, the first joint human Zephyrian colony was established. The Zephyrians handled farming, art, and healing. The humans provided security and protection. Zephyrian children began playing modified human games, learning about friendly competition. Human children learned Zephyrian meditation techniques. Ambassador Veltar, now much wiser, stood with Captain Jake Morrison watching the two species work together. I realize now, Veltar said, that we were looking for perfect beings like ourselves. But perhaps perfection is not about never fighting. Perhaps it's about knowing when to fight and when not to. Jake nodded. We're not perfect. We make mistakes. But we try to use our strength to protect those who can't protect themselves. That, Veltar said, is perhaps the most beautiful kind of peace there is.